Welcome to your best kept secret to success. I'm Prema, and this is where resonance replaces readiness and frequency leads the way. Take a breath with me as we open this space together. There is a field where words are no longer the medium of transmission, where structure itself communicates, where the geometry of your being speaks louder than your efforts ever could. We are now in that field. This episode is for those who have built much, spoken much, created much, and yet feel the quiet knowing that is no longer what you say, but what you are that leads. This is a BridgeGate transmission, a threshold for those who are no longer convincing, no longer explaining, no longer managing perception. The field now does what your voice once had to, and this is the shift. If you're ready to see your soul's gifts reflected back to you with clarity and power, start with the Sacred Wealth Archetype Quiz. It's free, and it reveals the archetypal blueprint of your highest value and purpose in the world. The link is in the show notes. We'll start with some planetary energy, Vedic astrology, just a couple of updates, and then at the end of the episode, we'll have an integration practice after we dive into our main content so that you walk away embodied with what has landed for you today. So let's ground into the current energetic structures. We have two planetary forces that are moving through the undercurrents right now. Mercury and Mars. They've been traveling together. This is the great communicator, and it is also the great honorable warrior. And the communicator and the honorable warrior in the Sacred Wealth archetype system have two distinct energies. They've been in Libra, and now they are moving into Scorpio together. This is a descent of mind into mastery. Mercury here asks us to walk the inner corridors of thought, not to overanalyze, but to investigate the unseen. And this is not surface communication, this is soul level inquiry. What's beneath the words? What truth do your structures already reveal without having to explain? Scorpio is a deep and revealing sign. It's where we turn grapes into wine. In this space, thoughts become spells. Words become building materials. Be precise, be quiet when needed, and let your structure do the speaking. And don't overanalyze, especially your feelings. Now, Mars in Scorpio, from October 27th to December 8th, Mercury is there from October 24th to November 23rd because it's going to retrograde there. We'll talk about that in the next episode. So Mars is coming back home to one of its signs, Scorpio. This is sacred pursuit. Mars, our great honorable warrior, rules Scorpio and returns home to do the deeper work. Not perform, but pierce through illusion. This is the time for focused intensity, strategic action, and letting your movement come from conviction, not reactivity. You see, Mars here is a sacred blade. It cuts what no longer belongs. Precisely, not with violence, unless it's moving from the shadow, but with clarity. So, what actions are you taking that are still trying to explain, persuade, or to prove? This is a call to let them go. Let your precision speak for itself. These transits, Mercury and Mars in Scorpio, support this episode's core truth. When you are coherent, when your structure is true, you don't need to explain. If you're curious about your personal Vedic astrology chart or what a sacred wealth code reading looks like for you, it's here to unlock your unique soul blueprint. And I offer both. These readings reflect the codes already written in your chart, and you'll find all the details in the show notes. Let's begin. There was a time when success meant articulation. You had to speak clearly, teach thoroughly, and explain beautifully. But in this phase of maturity, particularly for those of you already seated in your calling, something else begins to happen. The field begins to speak for you. The theme of this episode is clear. When your field is coherent, your words become optional. When your structure is sound, strategy is unnecessary. And when your tone is true, the invitation precedes the message. Let's walk through 5 key teachings that illuminate this shift. Structure speaks louder than strategy. People now feel you before they hear you. Before you speak a single word, your structure has already spoken. The geometry around your work, the timing of your invitations, the coherence of your offerings. This is what communicates. This is why the Sacred Wealth Mastery field is not a program or a content container. It's a structure encoded with tone, a living field that people feel even before they understand it. When your structure is aligned, it becomes a resonant field of safety, clarity, and magnetism. So let me offer a parallel. Have you ever walked into a sacred space and felt instantly at peace? Or a conference room and felt tension? And that could be flipped. Have you ever walked into a sacred space and felt tension? In a conference room and felt peace? Either are possible. But in both scenarios, nothing has been said, but the structure itself is communicating. The same is true for your business, for your work in the world. When the structure carries signal, you don't need to amplify your voice. A couple of years after my book, Your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint to Purpose and Prosperity, went into print, I received an email from someone I'd never met. She said, "Your book has been sitting on my desk for months." And I finally opened it. And I just knew I was supposed to reach out to you. So she booked a Sacred Wealth Code reading almost immediately. And not because I had any fancy marketing funnel. She hadn't even seen one. She felt the structure. That reading led to her entering the sacred wealth field. And since then, she's launched her own podcast, developed a beautiful body of work for women in leadership, and much more. We still stay in touch, grateful for her. And all of that happened because the structure was already speaking before I ever did. The field carries frequency longer than voice. So your energy lasts longer than your launch. Your resonance lives longer than your words. And this is why people discover podcast episodes that you recorded years ago and feel like you're speaking directly to them in this moment. Because when the field is true, it exists outside of time. You don't need to constantly create content to stay relevant. You need to build a field that holds coherence and let it echo through time. This is also why Sacred Wealth architects return to transmissions, altar cards, meditations again and again in the Sacred Wealth Mastery Vault. The words haven't changed, but they have changed. Their field has changed, so the resonance deepens. Let this be a permission slip. You don't need to be louder. You need to be structurally clear and energetically true. Coherence attracts, explanation repels. In this new field, resonance replaces persuasion. If someone needs a lot of explanation to understand your work, they're not yet in the field of it. Trying to convince them is a distortion. Over-explaining repels, but coherence magnetizes. When you're in structural clarity, the ones meant for your field feel it. There's no performance, no pitch, no hook. You've become the tuning fork, not the megaphone. You emit a frequency, and that frequency draws in what matches. A woman once came up to me after a talk and said, "I don't even know what you do, but I know I need to be in your field." She wasn't asking for more information. She was naming the resonance. And that moment has repeated itself in many forms over the years. Clients with collaborations, YouTube listeners, podcast listeners, leaders at retreats, and even people in passing conversations. And this is what happens when the structure you carry emits a signal. The right people don't need a bullet point summary, they feel it. And it's not limited to client-based work. This happens in visionary leadership, in organizing teams, in public speaking, in spiritual mentorship, in writing, and even in relationships. When your field is coherent, people enter it because of how it feels, not because of how it's explained. The silence between is now the most powerful part. The leaders you're called to walk with now aren't the ones filling the room with information. They're the ones holding the space. Their silence is not absence, it's precision. Their words are few, but every one lands. This is the fundamental shift in how leadership is expressed. It's not about having the right pitch or strategy. It's about carrying the frequency of truth with so much internal clarity that silence does more than speech. And this is not passive. This is mature architectural leadership, where the structure holds and the being transmits. Let the silence between your words become the new magnetic field. And here you become the living signal. At a certain point, you no longer offer a message. You are the message. Your body carries it. Your rhythm transmits it. Your posture anchors it. You don't need to teach what you're living. Your field is already speaking. And what it speaks is not, look at me. It says, remember yourself. You are no longer convincing. You're no longer performing. You are confirming what someone else already knows deep within, but forgot. This is the sacred maturity of resonance-based leadership. I've had people sit with me in a session or even in silence and afterwards say, I don't know what just happened, but something shifted. They maybe can't name it, and they don't need to, because what happened wasn't strategy, it was structure. It wasn't explanation. It was coherence, alignment. Let the field speak. Let your structure hold. Let your words be few and powerful. If this field of resonance is speaking to you, then you may already be part of Sacred Wealth Mastery. It's not a course. It's not content. It is codified remembrance. You'll know if it's yours to walk. The invitation is open and the gate is already humming. You'll find the link with the show notes. We'll do a reading from the Sacred Wealth Oracle card deck. Deck, book, and journal are all available on my website. Link is below. Your Sacred Wealth Code on Amazon as well. We have 2 cards from the Oracle deck that have arrived for this transmission. And the first one is The organizer, ruled by Saturn. Saturn's currently in retrograde in Vedic astrology in Pisces. It's going to be in Pisces for a couple more years, creating structure in the ethers, like creating a pathway across water, stepping stones across water. Everything has its rightful place. And when you place your energy, the organizer is reminding us, when you create the structure of your gifts, of what you're here to offer, your business, your work in the world, however you're transmitting that, and you hold that structure, everything's in its rightful place. And allow that to speak. Saturn reminds us that less is more. Not about being a perfectionist. It's on the shadow side of Saturn and the organizer. But again, it's a place of precision and intention and clarity. So Saturn asks, is your structure organized? Is it in its rightful place? That alignment speaks more than any words you'll ever say. The leader is the other archetype that has shown up today. If you're on video, I have the leader painting. The cards have all these beautiful, they were all created from these beautiful, very detailed paintings. And this is, I lead from the heart. This is the sun. The sun's currently debilitated in Libra. I lead from the heart. This is inside out. The leader's reminding us, when your intention is on your energy, who you are being, your leadership again speaks louder than anything you could ever say. When you walk your own talk, you don't need to speak it so loudly. Lead yourself with integrity in who you're being. And those who are meant to feel that, to sense that, and to be with that will be. We'll do an integration practice to help you embody this. So let this be your invitation this week. Take a moment. If you have the opportunity to be able to close your eyes, do. Take a couple of deep breaths. So you're sitting in stillness. And as you tune your attention inward, just sense the field. Sense into your field. Your gifts, your work, your offerings, your business, your body of work, whether you've birthed it or not. Take another deep, full breath. If you have a hand free, put it on your heart. You're going to drop all the way down into your heart, down into your fourth chakra, as if you were going to slide all the way from your mind, all the way down into the very center of your heart. Take a deep breath and land. It's time to do a little truth telling. What part of me is still explaining what my energy, my structure already knows? Let that question land. What part of me is still explaining what my structure already knows? And we're going to tune in for one inspired action to support you in this shift of embodiment. Tuning in, what's one inspired action I can take that will support me in letting the field speak instead? What's an inspired action I can take that will support me in letting the field speak instead? Trust what comes through. Walk with this. Follow through with this. Breathe with this. You're worth it. If you're feeling the timing align and you want to see what's already written in your soul blueprint, a Vedic astrology reading, a soul blueprint reading, or a sacred wealth code reading would be aligned for you. You'll walk away with clarity, alignment, and your next right divine timing. The link for everything I offer is in the show notes. If this moment is asking for stillness, come to the full moon coherence circle. I hold one on every full moon. The next one from this particular episode is on November 5th, 2025. We gather each month to align with the real rhythm, the one that lives in you. And if this opens something for you, Sacred Wealth Mastery is the structure that can hold it. It's not a course. It's the codified field where your soul work becomes wealth. If this frequency speaks to something within you, you are already in the field. Feel free to subscribe, to follow, and share this podcast with someone who walks this path with you. If you're on Apple Podcasts, I'd love if you left a review. Your words help others find this resonance. And if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, you can like this and leave me a comment. I read them all. I thank you so much for being here. And remember, your soul already carries the blueprint for your wealth, your purpose. And when you align with that truth, the right people, opportunities, and resources arrive without force, in perfect timing, in perfect sequence. So much love to you.